Okay, sweet. Well, thank you again for joining us tonight. I see that I think some people are still sneaking in, but it's wonderful to have you. Welcome to our June community meeting. My name is Kylie, and I'm on staff with Common Power, and I'll be kind of hosting us through this evening. Normally, I do this with my wonderful co-host, Maria. She can't be here tonight, unfortunately, but y'all, you've been here before. Maria is the queen of community. So missing her tonight. But yeah, let's get into things. But first, here's our agenda. So we're in our welcoming part of our agenda. We're going to do some new staff introductions. So super excited about that. We have an update from the Fieldwork department. The Institute is celebrating 1 year. So a wonderful little birthday party too. And then we'll talk about the upcoming events. Charles kind of sneak previewed one of them, which is a postcarding party on Saturday. But yeah, we'll get into all of that. So yeah. Oh, and I did want to start off the night by saying Happy Pride Month, first day. Yeah, I'll take some host privilege by just saying, the struggle for LGBTQ rights is personal to me and personal to my family. And so just really encourage you all to join in celebrating, but also taking the time to learn and take some action. And I know if you're already part of this community, you're down for that. So yay. Okay, cool. I'm going to hand it off to Charles now. And when he's going to start our new staff introductions. Thank you, Charles.
Sweet. And thank you for adding that part, Kylie. It's good to share both the personal side and also highlight that specifically because folks around the country are under attack in ways that they haven't been for years. And we're seeing it. I mean, that's directly tied to our work. That is one of the things that motivates a lot of the folks who are joining us today as new staff members. So it's interesting to introduce people that many of us have seen around for months and months. But maybe for you, you've never met some of these people. Some folks you've seen for years, actually, who've been a part of CP, the larger community, on trips, knocking on doors with you and whatnot. And some people you've only seen on Zoom or on the website and have wondered about them. So you're going to get to meet all of them right now. Common Power is, I think, very well measured by the people who we welcome into our community and who choose to join us, because all these folks have made a choice to be here. These are not people we have selected. They have selected us. And they tried us out for a few months. Every single one of them tried us out for a few months as contractors. And now they're all on full time. It is a wealth of new talent. 6 new full-time staff members are joining right now. Some of them started a couple weeks ago, and some of them are going to start in about a couple weeks. But Common Power is healthy, and we are hiring. So we're going to start with the person who started first in this cohort. Or are they in alphabetical order? Are these slides?
Kylie, yeah. So slides. No, thanks for asking. Great. I kind of organized it more in departments. So first slide is Institute folks, and then the next slide has got the rest of our folks. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. So let's start with the Institute folks. Look at that.
Now it's in alphabetical order.
Look at these pictures.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So I know, yeah, it's like we just chose from Instagram. This is great. This person needs to be part of our community. This is wonderful. This is like the social media generation for sure. When I was hired on, had the most bogus images available for the website. So this is a step up right here. Every single one of these folks have worked for us for months. In one way or another, they were in the network of one Dr. Terry Ann Scott and one Dr. David Domke. And when we launched the Institute, they raised their hand and they said, "What can I do to help?" And they've been putting in work while going to school, 2 of them, and the other one while being a teacher. So they've all been in and around education. Celestia started with us a couple weeks ago, and she's doing work directly with David, but she's based in Montgomery, Alabama, and she'll be working out of our building in Selma. Devin Geary just finished her PhD with UW, and she's going to be doing a bunch of work around working across difference. And I'll say a little piece here and there, and then I'm going to hand it off to them, and they can tell you about themselves. And then Jordan is, I will tell you that there is no Dr. Terry Ann Scott in the way that you see her without Jordan Schulte, period. Okay. Before you see Terry on a Zoom, often there's like a Jordan message getting Terry to the Zoom. All right. And that's a little behind the scenes. And Terry would not be afraid to share this. Jordan keeps her on track and helps her focus on the priorities she's got in front of her. The three of them together are amazing. They're the reason why the Institute is what it is today. And, and David also is going to get a little benefit from this too, because Celestia is going to be right there next to him. Take it away.
Yay. Oh, Celestia, I think you're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I
it.
don't know. I've been doing that lately, but hello, everyone. I'm Celestia. Thank you for the introduction, Charles. Thank you, Kylie, for organizing all this. This is awesome. So happy to join the community meeting. So like Charles said, I am now in Montgomery, Alabama. I know it's a wild move to make, and then to be working in Selma. I love it. I am a Washingtonian, I think that's what you call it. I lived in Washington. I lived in Olympia for about 6 years, but not consecutively. Both my parents were in the military, and I moved around a lot, 5 different states, 1 different country in Germany, and I ended up graduating high school, moving to Virginia or Maryland. I lived in Baltimore for the last upcoming year. Like Charles said, I was a certified teacher. I am still a certified teacher. I was a special ed and elementary and middle school teacher who taught in behavior and reading intervention. And I left that position into looking for something that would fulfill more of my purpose. I love education. I love working with kids. I currently still do work with kids with a program called Scholars in Motions under Dr. Scott, which works with high school students that live in housing authorities. So we work with them, we give them tutoring, SAT prep, and just mentorship in general, taking them to college visits. So I get my field of education that way. And then in higher education, working with the Institute, and then working with what I will be doing in Selma, which is a lot of community building with Miss Bland, Charles Baldwin, Miss Jackie from the coffee shop. So my education got flipped and turned into more community building, but I'm loving it. I'm still building those relationships, and this job has been able to provide all those buckets I needed to fill, and I love it. So I'm happy to be joining this group.
Thank you, Celestia. You're welcome.
Hi, my name's Devin Geary, and I'll be joining the Institute team as a senior program manager. I'm coming on board really with a high focus on creating and offering programming that supports community building, especially across our differences, age, gender, sexuality, ability, etc., political ideology, and building those relationships in a way that creates healthy, just, equitable relationships and connections for a healthier society. There's a lot of research and scholarship and books that talk about how when we have more diverse ties in societies, we see a more egalitarian civic, health, education, and economic outcomes. And so I'm going to be doing a lot around trying to build that. And I guess a tiny bit about my background. I was a graduate student at the University of Washington. A little before that, throughout graduate school to get my PhD, I was working with different organizations across the country. So in different regions on race and racial equity work. And so I'm going to bring my experience and what I've learned also in school together, hopefully, to facilitate what we like to do at the Institute. So I'm incredibly grateful to be here, and I love working with our team and wouldn't have it any other way.
Yay, thank you, Devin. Welcome. I have no doubt that you will do that. Bring the things together for sure. Cool.
Yeah, thanks. Oh my gosh. You just following Celestia and Devin is, I can't top any of them, but they're like already, I'm just grateful to be here, be with you all. My name is Jordan Schulte, as Kylie and Charles mentioned. Thank you guys so much for having this session, setting this up, the introduction. I'll be an associate for the Institute. I've been with the Institute since our inaugural introduction meeting and starting it all off about a year ago. I'm really grateful and excited just to be here with you all. I studied health sciences in my undergraduate, and I'm finishing up my master's currently. I spent a lot of time in undergrad and even in my master's understanding and preparing to get more info on health disparities affecting marginalized communities, BIPOC women, understanding how race plays a role in healthcare in this country. And that just kind of led me into, all the ways in which we're so interconnected and interwoven with our history and how it affects all of us. And so I've just been really excited and I think very passionate, obviously, excuse me. This work doesn't feel like work to me. It's something that I feel very drawn to. Feels like, as I think Celestia and Devin mentioned, it's a calling that you feel fulfilled by working with these individuals, by being here with you all in this community. So although we all have different avenues with teaching, with education, different spaces that we've been able to harbor our interest in racial equity and social justice, I just feel really grateful and excited to be here with you all. And like Devin and Celestia mentioned, I'll be helping with our programs. I do help with Dr. Scott as well with her calendar, keeping her I think together, I guess. I don't know. She's amazing on her own. I just try to do my best. But any of our programs I support. Love being on a team with Celestia and Devin and everyone in our group, I think, our whole organization. So I'm just excited and grateful. And I thank you all for having me here and having me on.
Yay, thank you, Jordan. Welcome.
So you just heard how amazing they are. The humility there is it goes along with the mission, and they're so committed to it. And you couldn't find a better group of folks who's ready to make massive changes in this country around education and be an example. Thanks again for choosing Common Power. All right, next, look at these pictures. My goodness gracious. This is great. All right, so Asha, Puya, and Willow. So I'm gonna start with Willow. Willow is because Willow actually just found out that she was gonna be full-time now. And I'd say she's deserved it for a long time. Willow is one of those people who's super quiet, speaking of being humble, and would probably fully understate her qualifications. And she quietly joined CP. I forget how you got here. Maybe you can say a little bit about that. But you definitely found us. You live in Whidbey Island. Amongst people who maybe don't agree with our some of our politics, but you found a way through that to us, and then you started to show up and do work, and it was just unbelievable work. It was quiet, but it was really, really good and consistent. And we are one of those organizations that prides ourselves in having a lot of folks who can speak really well and often about who we are. And we need people who put their heads down and do the work behind the scenes. And so much of what you see on our website now, on social media, and stuff that you will see soon. You just dropped a great video about Action Academy that Larcy's kind of like protecting, and she's going to reveal to the world that Willow did. You just keep doing really great work right when we need it, Willow. Great addition to the team. Puya, I don't know if Puya got to a ramp start. Puya was just like thrown into the field, and he made the mistake of saying he wants to work like really closely with me, and that's like that's really, you know, he got thrown in the fire. And so this was you know, midterms 2022, and I was like, guess what I'm doing, Puya? I'm going out into the field, and so you're going to come with me. That's what you're going to do. And he did it, and he kept up with me and surpassed me in some ways. I think I traveled, I forget how many times I traveled in the fall, 16 times, I think. And Puya traveled like, I don't know, 11, 12, 30, he'll tell you, but he was right there with me. Here's the difference. And then he continued to be a key part of Fieldwork. The difference between Puya and I is that Puya is also a full-time college student. Ridiculous. Full-time college student, and basically gave us near full-time hours all the way up until his graduation, which I need to see evidence that he graduated or that he's going to graduate, because I don't understand how he could work for us as much as he has and still graduate with honors. I think I heard with honors. Summa, you can tell us some more about that. But there are some relationships that we have out in the field that are only there because Puya hunted them down. That's it. So that's Puya for you. Asha is somebody who was, I would say, absorbed into this work. Let me just be fully honest. Other people chose to be a part of CP. Asha had the good fortune of being told that she was voluntold to do this work. And she accepted it willingly. And it started off with Action Academy alongside you, Kylie, where she helped to form Action Academy with Larcy. And those sessions where you all were like, what is this going to look like? And how are we going to recruit people and all that? Like, she was right there with you. And when Common Power needed help on operations, she came in and she crunched numbers on spreadsheets. When she needed help in CP Future again, Asha went back over there, and now she's reporting to Vanna over in operations and finance. And this is a complex organization. Some of you have asked questions about how we're funded, about how we spend our money. We are multiple entities, legal entities. We are 4 legal entities, at least. I think there may be an LLC in there somewhere. And Asha has to make sure that all that stuff gets processed in the back end. It is so complex that there are industry experts who look at our books and they're like, wow. I think they called them a work of art. And Asha is a part of that. So tell us about yourselves, y'all. Welcome.
Welcome. Shall we do order of introduction by Charles? So Willow, do you want to go first, please?
I was feeling that was going to happen, but that's all right. All right. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Willow Yipol, and kind of like what Charles said of how I got introduced to CP, or kind of, I like to think of like fell into it in a way. A lot of things had to line up coincidentally, but it feels kind of casual to say that I just found the job on LinkedIn. I read the description and I remember the day I found it because it was my last semester at WSU. I have a degree there in strategic communications and advertising and a minor in graphic design. And yeah, it was my last semester and I was like, I don't have anything lined up. I was doing the whole job search, as a college student does. And I remember reading the job description and kind of seeing how everything lined up so well. And also, I think it's hard to remember, but I think I was very close to the deadline too when I found it. So I was like, I need to write this cover letter right now, make sure my resume is good. And I sent it in, and a lot of things fell into place after that. And I feel very lucky that I've been absorbed into like this whole community. And there's so many stories with everyone who works at CP who just has such strong leadership and does so much, and the stories they tell of how they got into CP. And when I came into it completely new as an intern, I was kind of thrown into almost all the programs of going on learning tours, going on the field, attending some of Action Academy too. And I work in marketing, I should preface. So I'm now joining as associate in marketing and design. And that kind of goes into helping support almost all aspects of CP, making sure that I help represent CP in general accurately online, on our website. If you see a flyer or a banner somewhere, I probably made it at this point. I've been working with CP for a year as a contractor, and so I feel very lucky being like now fully in it, or I have been, but like in this new way. And I'm very excited to see where it goes. And I feel very grateful that post-grad, this is the experience I can have, and the people and the way I like what I've learned through this job, basically. I feel very grateful that I've had this opportunity.
Thank you, Willow. I'm glad you also, acknowledge all of your hard work and that you've touched so many, that when you all see things, Willow's had a hand in it. So great. Thank you. Puya?
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Puya. Most of you, I think, have seen me on Zoom or have been on the ground with me. I'm originally from Iran. Have been in the States for about 7-8 years now. Most of it in Washington, part of it in California. As Charles said, I got involved with CP around like 18 months ago, something like that, after doing Action Academy. I became a team lead and I worked with Donna, who was my other co-lead in Georgia. Had a lot of fun. And I had the amazing privilege to be asked to work more closely with Charles, to become his assistant. So I was doing whatever he asked me to do, essentially, which was a lot of fun, a lot of uncertainty, but I was, ready to just go with the flow and see where this one goes. And as Charles said, I ended up traveling a lot with CP last year and being pulled into the fieldwork side of things. And while being Action Academy and other parts of CP, and this year I've been more so focused on fieldwork, and that's where I will be. So hoping that y'all will travel with us. Hope to see you on the ground, knock on doors together, and have some fun and win some elections.
Thank
Can I quickly just say something else? If Charles, you want proof that I graduated, June 10th is graduation. I wrapped up my last undergrad class about an hour ago.
Oh,
So
yay.
you're invited.
Congrats.
June 10th.
That's huge.
12:30. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
We're proud of you. We're proud of you. But yeah, I'm gonna verify on the 10th for sure.
Whoa. Asha, are you ready?
Oh, more ready than ever. Hi, I'm Asha. I have, a lot of history with CP. I've been almost everywhere in the org. Like Charles said, I started as one of the first student leads with Kylie in Action Academy for the first cohort. And then I ended up, a few years down the road, I graduated from Gonzaga. I have a degree in writing, so I know writing to finance and ops is not what people usually expect for a path, but then I got to travel for midterms. I think now, how many trips do I have under my belt? I want to say 13, around 5 or 6 states. And yeah, it's been amazing, but I did not expect that through Larcy and Vanna that I would feel so much joy to see a completed spreadsheet and to see and to have a hand in that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, let me learn more about this. And I started to learn how to do like the cool little tricks in spreadsheets, and now I love it. Okay, if anyone ever gets a chance to learn about spreadsheets from Vanna, I highly recommend you take that class. And then I realized that I had this like amazing opportunity because like there were so many systems that would be so beneficial to Common Power that weren't fully built out yet, and that right now I'm like in the process of working with the rest of the team to like keep building those out, contributing, seeing that come to fruition in the field and just like on the front end. So that's been amazing, and I'm very excited to be able to help out in a full-time capacity now.
Yay. Thank you, Asha, Kuya, and Willow. Welcome. All right. Well,
Good.
let's take one moment. Let's celebrate all of our new staff. Thank you so much for joining us in this work. I'm really excited to work more with all of you. I've known Asha forever though, so continue. So sweet. Okay, I'm now gonna pass it over to the fieldwork team for a fieldwork update. Should I go to the next one?
Leah, that's you.
Yep. So I'm really excited to share this. So about a few weeks ago, we learned about this election coming up in Pennsylvania. Actually, two special elections coming up in Pennsylvania for state house. And I did not know this, but apparently the Democrats only had a 1-seat majority in the state house. And these 2 seats that became available, one of them was a strong Republican hold for 5-6 decades now. So there was really no chance. But the other one was quite competitive. So we thought, okay, if it's coming down to a single election to decide who will control the state house, we have to be there. So in a matter of like 3 weeks, we put together a small team of about like 7-8 people and went to Pennsylvania. We were in the suburbs of Philadelphia, knocking on doors. And through 4 days of door knocking, we were able to knock on over 2,000 doors, around maybe 2,400 doors. And our candidate won, thankfully, which was really great. They won around with a margin of around 3,000 votes, roughly 3,300 votes. So we are really proud to be able to say that we have had a considerable impact of that election. And we also had phone banks and text banking going on as well for that candidate. So we reached out to over 5,000 voters through all of those processes. So really proud of our fieldwork team and the results that we had in Pennsylvania.
Oh, is it me now? Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Action Assembly in Pennsylvania. So this is kind of a new program thing we're doing in Fieldwork. So Action Assembly is basically how we create opportunities for education and leadership development when we're on these trips. So these trips that we take, they're not just about, getting that next vote and winning the next election, but it's also about making sure that we're intentional about the work that we do and about the time we're spending on the ground. And so there's 2 parts of it. One of them is political education. And so that's kind of where we invite local leaders and activists and professors in the community, and they come in and teach us about the local history in the places that we enter. And we let them share with us their experiences, their knowledge, and really teach us about the importance of why we're here, why we need to show up, and why we should continue to show up. And so political education is really about making our work more sustainable and educating ourselves about the communities we're canvassing in. It's actually really helpful when we're at the doors, because then we actually know about the political issues that people are facing and dealing with. So it gives us an opportunity to be more intentional in the work that we do. So in Pennsylvania, we got to talk with, I should reach the name. Okay, one of them is Khalif Alexander. And then there's another name that I'm blanking out.
Mike Idris.
Yes, him. And so Khalif, he spearheaded the movement for Millennial Juneteenth, and he talked with us about the different kinds of organizing and activism he's done on the ground. And then Mike, the other guy, that I just went out my mind right in a second. He works at the museum in Pennsylvania, and they do tours and showcases that teach history through art and motion. And it was just really cool learning about the political history and climate of Pennsylvania. And so that was one half. And then the other half, Action Assembly, is leadership development. And so that's kind of where we hone in on the next generation of leaders and really push them to stretch and grow their leadership skills. And so think the best part about that is that leadership development can really look like anything. And so in Pennsylvania, since we had a smaller group of people, we actually had all of the Gen Z do TED Talks. And so everyone did a little mini TED Talk, and they get a little presentation about the civic engagement that they're involved in and share it with the group. And it was really fun. It was really exciting because you kind of get to see what people are passionate about who people are and what they do outside of CP, and then have it all come together on these trips. And so that's kind of how we incorporated developmental leadership and education in Pennsylvania. And yeah, we made it fun. So it's something that we've now been programming into our future field work. And so it's a big thumbs up. Yeah, I'm gonna pass it to Ben now. Ben's done with me.
No, you did great. You did great.
Thanks.
Yeah, we had a really good time. I think we took out a smaller team, as Louis was saying. Chuck was there. That's why he's smiling a lot. Yeah, it shows that we can do it all, right? We can learn from the place that we go to. We can learn from each other, and we can win elections all at the same time in the span of what, 5 days? Yeah, it's intense, y'all. So if any of you are going to Virginia or planning to go to Virginia, that's what you have to look forward to. It's this really, really awesome political experience. Okay, so speaking of how fieldwork what's going on new in fieldwork, I would like to take a moment to take a look back and where fieldwork has been in 2022. And Kylie, can I get co-host privileges to share?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna say something. So what I'm about to share with you is the 2022 Fieldwork End of Year Report. I fully recognize that we are in the 1st of June, but it's better late than never. So I'm gonna share it right now. And we will drop this on .io, so this will be available for the wider community to take a look at in your own time, right? And then also we might blast it out in some newsletters and stuff like that too. So
hold on, before you go through this, I just gotta rewind a little bit. So this is the first fieldwork report that has ever existed. There's been no demand for this before, and there's been not the right data collected in order to be able to produce it. It kind of happened by accident, but it was out of necessity because people were asking about, and maybe you have too. Maybe you've wondered, maybe you haven't asked. I have about the efficacy of our fieldwork. We are, hey, Greg, welcome, man. We're really good about community, and some people are just here for the community. Education, those two pieces, you can see it, you can feel it, you can point to things. Leadership development is here. Half the room is here through Action Academy. But the field work, up until this point, we didn't have the same robust set of evidence, both empirical data and anecdotal, to show what our impact was in a way that was really that was on par with the rest of the organization. And now we have it. And the way we have it is because of Puya and Ben and Ian, who's not here right now, but he's going to be a crew lead, and he came out of Action Academy. There were other people who were a part of fieldwork, but I will tell you that those are the folks who said, let's collect the data in this way. Let's maintain it. Let's go back and clean it up. Anyone who works with data knows that cleaning up data it's part science, part art, but you got to know the stuff that you're working with. So this was just to get to the point where we got to the data that you're going to see here, took a lot of lift. And then on top of that, there's how do I interpret this, and how can I read it in a way, if I'm a visual learner, in a way that's compelling for me, so I don't just put this thing down after flipping through it. And Ben took the lead on that. So we've already started to collect data in a way that is better this year. You're going to see a proper end of the year report right after the end of the year this year. But I wanted to say that because it's not just late because it's late. It's late because it didn't exist before, and the idea for it came long after the end of the beginning of this year. And then there's this small detail, the fact that Ben's graduating from grad school and Puya is graduating from regular school, allegedly, regular college, allegedly. So That's all a part of the story of how we got to this point. And also, my goodness, when you see this. All right.
Yes. And to tag on to that, right? It is really a team effort to get us here, all the way from like Puya collecting things on as a hobby, I will say. He was doing this without us asking him to because he wanted to understand. And then we found out he had a spreadsheet and we were like, we could actually use this, Puya. So that was like how we found out. And Kylie created the survey that all of you who volunteered with us, like filled out at the end of the year. So that's where the majority of the data comes from. We are in contact with our partners. That's how we have like our doors, and all of our impact and stuff like that. And every time you fill out our tracker, our activity log, right? When you volunteer, that's how we know we have these numbers too. So you're a part of this process. We just put it all together for you to digest. So just real quick, because you can read on your own. So at a glance, right? We worked in 10 states. We participated in 30 races and we won 22 of them. That's just like the first things that you see. And we have around 400 unique volunteers. There's a little plus sign because, our data collection methods are getting better, but they weren't great back then. We took so many trips, so many trips, and we knocked on even more doors. What I will point to too is that in 2022, we contacted almost 1 million voters. And that's why there's a plus in all of that, because we know we contacted this amount, but we also know we probably contacted a little more than that. So, and we always open with, why we do this. So we do it in teams, in partnerships, and in community. That's what brings people back. That's actually what brings people to us as well. And that being grounded in our values and our principles is how we conduct fieldwork and how we continue to do fieldwork sustainably. So here we dive deeper into the specific races that we participated in with the amount of data that we have, right? And you can see exactly which races we won and which ones we lost. And of course, right, this also goes into like how we even engage in action. We do it through our partners. And these are just a couple of our partners right here. There are more, but I really couldn't find the logos. So I put them all under Democratic offices and campaigns across the states. Forgive me. This is what I really want to show you though. And I want to invite Puya into this discussion after I kind of go through what you're seeing here. So when Puya was talking about what we did in Pennsylvania, he described one, how many doors we did, right? And then also how many votes our candidate won by. And this is how we're choosing to visualize our impact in our the campaigns that we work in. So we divide them up into direct impacts and to considerable contributions. In direct impacts, we knock on more doors than there was the margin. And in considerable contributions, we knocked on like a good amount of doors of the margin. So Puya, is there anything specifically on this page that you want to call out that's like a takeaway for people reading this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you scroll up a little bit, in the direct impact, you can see the first one on the left, like the brown circles, how small that is. That's election in Arizona. The Attorney General election was decided by 511 votes. And we knocked on over 10,000 doors in the state of Arizona. And Chris Myers is a statewide candidate, so every door that we knocked on contributed to that election. And we contacted over 95,000 voters in Arizona. In that race, CP, we can make this claim confidently that if CP was not in Arizona, if we had not decided to take trips, do text banks, do phone banks, send postcards, Chris Myers would not be in office today. The Attorney General would not be in office today. And that is the case for the other two elections that you can see. And the right-hand side of that screen, the comparable elections that CP did not participate in, those are elections that are similar in terms of the districts, in terms of the demographics of those districts, and we're comparing them to the states and the races that we worked on. And we're showing you that, okay, we have had the impact in these elections, we are making these claims, and here are the races that we could have worked on with more capacity and resources.
Exactly. And never forget, right? We have these visuals as numbers right here because they're easier to understand our impact when there's all aggregated. But if you like remember your own experiences, maybe in these exact states, knocking on doors for these exact people, you will also remember the person you're talking to. So these are numbers here on this page, but they're voters when you're there. And that is actually what we remember. So kind of like moving on, we move away from more quantitative into more qualitative. We have our beautiful people on our beautiful pages. We kind of describe how we do field work, right? In 2022, we did it in mainly 3 ways. State team trips, which are our big planned trips, you know, like we have them like right up against election date. We also have CSOs, now called critical selective operations. They're more, they're exactly as their name, right? Like we are flexible, we handpick people because we need to move at the drop of a dime. That's what special elections are. This is our response to a special election being called last minute. And then if you were there during Warnock's campaign in the runoffs, you would know exactly what I mean by extended campaign. Like, I think Charles was there for like 21 days. So was, I think, Braden, who's not on this call right now, and Puya would if he didn't have school. So these 3 modes of field work is what we're continuing to expand on, refine, and maybe add more to, because we know 2024 is a completely different beast. So this kind of goes into details about like what this is, got some nice quotes. And I also want to add this part too right here. So in the survey that we sent out to volunteers, right? And we had 81 responses back. This is a graph kind of like, I picked out specific points about this, about impact and what people felt that they had, not necessarily the impact that like we showed on that other page, but what did you feel you did, right? And like you all felt you did something. Either you made an impact or you believe we made an impact together. And I think that's very powerful. So the last page is a love letter to you all, so you can take your own time to read that. That's it. I can stop sharing now. And yeah, thank you. Thank you to everyone who became a part of this one way or another.
Okay, before we move on, I need to open the floor to 1 or 2 experienced volunteers here so they can tell me what they think of that, because that, and by 1 or 2, I mean Donna plus somebody else. Donnie been around for a while, and maybe this is something you thought about. What does it feel like to see that?
Oh, that's exciting. And what I'm really excited about is that Puya and other young people came up with the idea. It's a beautiful report. And the other thing that I think strikes me in a more practical note is that you can't do what Common Power does without money. Mm-hmm. And those kind of numbers will speak loudly, I think, to potential funders.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are some things that I would like to see Common Power do, but this is something I am very proud that Common Power is doing. This and everybody on this screen today. So thank you. Excellent.
Thank you for that, Don. It's a big deal. Also, we need to circle back on the things you need Common Power to do. We got some new people we can connect you with on that. I want to hear that. It's good stuff.
I'm ready.
And by new people, I mean Devin. I like to throw out vague terms and then point people out. I think the 2 of you can do some talking and do some good. Elizabeth, you turned your screen on, and then somebody said your name in the chat, so now you got to go.
Well, I mean, it's really powerful to see all those numbers and to have the visual too, because you know I'm actually not very good with numbers. My brain kind of at a certain point it doesn't mean anything. So to have the visual, the colors showing us, you know, like what our impact was. I mean, we all felt that our impact was huge, even you know, every single one of us who went somewhere, but
to see it all collected like that is really beautiful and powerful. And I agree with Donna. It could make a big difference for funders but it makes a big difference for new volunteers and for those of us who've already been working to see that information collected there and presented so efficiently and so powerfully. So thank you for that.
Excellent. Okay, I hand it back to Kylie. And let me just say one more thing, that Donna and Elizabeth will never tell you this, but they've spent their careers building things like what you just showed. So what they think about that matters a ton.
Thanks, Charles. All right, I'm going to hand things over to Devin and Jordan. We're celebrating 1 year of the Institute. Yay.
Thank you so much, Kylie. Thank you. Yeah, and just before we even get into the Institute, we're also impressed with the Fieldwork team, everything that we've all accomplished together, just, their ability to demonstrate that information in such an engaging and I think just visually appealing way. The minute I saw it, my mouth dropped. It was so great. So just applause to you guys. And of course, all the volunteers, because we couldn't do it without them, as you guys mentioned. So that's just it makes me speechless just even seeing it again. So just hats off to you guys. But yeah, so we have our 1 year anniversary of the Institute, which we're really excited about, just reflecting on all the things we've been able to accomplish. Even when we did our mini annual report at the end of 2022, we were just astonished at all that we were able to do. Looking back at our notes from planning meetings we had with our goals and how we were going to measure success amongst the team, just seeing all that we could do together, just with the few of us and all the people we were able to touch, all the things we were able to provide to the community, and within and throughout the organization. It wouldn't have been possible without everyone. So we're just really excited to share some things that we've been able to accomplish and some of our programs. And then I'll be sharing this with Devin and Celestia as well, because as we all know, it was a team effort. So we've been in it all together.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you all. Celestia too. Cool.
So this first program that we're discussing here is just our Truth and Purpose learning experience that we started doing for educators. So initially we had our learning tours that Dr. Scott and Dr. Domke would lead, and they hadn't necessarily had a purely educator focused, I would say, participant base. We'd have volunteers, we'd have funders, we would take our staff on these trips. And then at one point we realized the power that educators already have, and that we could continue to provide them with more tools, resources, and most importantly, I think it is the community that they build on these experiences within, their own school districts and throughout the country, and now even across different countries, which we've been very fortunate and excited about expanding this program throughout the US, Canada, and Haiti, as mentioned on the slide. We've had 3 trips total for a total of 64 different educators from about 15 different states within the US, which has been amazing just to be able to have a reach with so many different school districts, even including Florida as well. Just as a point, we have 2 more planned for this year alone, and have really been able to hone in on this program and this educator base. We really feel like, one teacher is touching however many students, numerous amount of students, and we're taking, 60 plus by the end of the year, 100 plus teachers from across the country and the world, able to teach their students truthful and just history, and also building compassionate educators. So something I'm really passionate about, we're all passionate about, and we feel is really making a difference in the community. So.
Just one thing to add on to that is that these educators have become an incredible network, for an incredible support base, an incredible foundation for the Institute for Common Power, because they're sending their students to Action Academy. They're sending their students to be a part of Scholars in Motion, 2 of our programs at Common Power in the Institute. And they're showing up for the teach-in and staying the whole 24 hours and cheering each other on in the chat and showing us videos of showing their classrooms to the teach-in that we hosted that we're going to talk about in just a moment. So we weren't expecting how much love and how much support and how much community this educator these educator cohorts would cultivate, and it's been such a wonderful, wonderful surprise.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'll go ahead and add on to that. I first started to get introduced into the Institute for Common Power through the educator trip. That's when I was in middle school, and that trip completely transformed me, I will say, in the best possible way. And I just felt like from there, I had to do more. I had to see what common power really was. So that's just, I feel like sometimes when we talk about these educator trips, they encompass so much that it's hard to even put into words. But like Devin and Jordan were saying, we have such an impact with those educator tours and what they do after that, that we have things like this 24-hour teach-in that we're able to impact even more people. Some of the educators that went on these trips actually hosted a session too and had lectures. So along with our educators who are not only streaming to their classrooms and lecturing, we have activists, like well-known activists like Dr. Harry Edwards, Bob Zellner, who was on this call, also had a lecture on there. Our fellow, Dr. Yohuru Williams was also on there. And of course, our Institute Director, Dr. Terry Ann Scott, opened with a letter from to Governor DeSantis, which these can all be found on YouTube. So it's streamed 24 hours and we have each of the segments uploaded, plus on the Instagram and Twitter, you can find a ton of short clips about it. So you can, whenever you want to take more notes about it, you can go ahead and watch it again. It will stay there. Free education is for everyone. It was broadcasted out in Florida. We had a small audience out there, but it was lively. I know we had some live footage from the photos that we have, and we reached up to 5,000 people watching. We had a good 200 to 300 people watching consistently throughout the night. And that was the most amazing thing to see. So this Truth Matter education, or the 24-hour teaching, is just a statement or a testimony to what we really do. We are here for the long run. We're here to educate everybody. And then I want to go into Scholars in Motion. So like Devin and Jordan also said, how we bring teachers into it. Scholars in Motion, right now we have a chapter in Frederick, Maryland, where Dr. Scott currently is, where you have students that come from project-based housings. And like I said with my introduction, so we work with SAT prep, college visits, college apps. And not only do we help them get into college, but we also invite them to apply to Action Academy. So it's a direct pipeline into that. And then they're guided through me and Jordan through that to make sure they're doing well in it, to make sure they're caught up with it. And of course, they get that $1,000 stipend afterwards. We're really pushing for them to find their best selves and find out how they can be their best civic leaders. So from this year, we have 15 students currently in a cohort, and we're introducing 7 more in just a couple weeks. We have 4 seniors, and our seniors are going to Hood College, Housing University, and Frostburg University. And with that, we've also found scholarships that are centered in Maryland that help them get either like free housing or some kind of tuition scholarship as well. So we seek those out for them. And it's those students that go through this program are just forever grateful from just the fact that we're just taking a little bit more care into it. We seek them and we offer them these trips. We just take them out, we mentor them, and we're there for them. And it's had a huge impact. Although we can't say how it's impacted them, we know, and they tell us at some point. So it's an amazing program. And eventually we'll branch it out into other cities as well.
Then we've got our foundational courses, and those have been running since January, and we've had a course a month. So we're in the middle of our 7th. And these are taught by award-winning scholars and experts in their field of study. So we've had a series of lectures by Dr. Yohuru Williams, who's our fellow at the Institute, Dr. Hassan Kwame Jeffries, Dr. Kathleen Cahill, the Institute Director, Dr. Terry Scott, Dr. David Donkey, lots of folks. And they're teaching about things rooted in history, telling the truth around our history, but they really span the gambit. They talk about Reconstruction, the rise of Jim Crow, the US Civil Rights Movement, women in politics. And as a spoiler, a couple of the lectures that will be coming up, series. One is by Dr. Donna Murch, and it's titled From the Black Panther Movement to Black Lives Matter, understanding the contemporary origins of Black radical activism, and then also a series by Dr. Meredith Bagley, From Selma to Stonewall, Civil Rights and LGBTQ Rights, An Uneasy Alliance. So these series really remind me of courses I took at the University of Washington. And I remember being in those courses and thinking, God, I just wish that this was available for everybody. I wish this wasn't within the ivory tower. It was available in the community so people could participate. And that's what these foundational courses are. I know we're kind of coming up on time, so we can move to the next slide. And then we also wanted to celebrate and acknowledge, recognize our We the People Public Scholar Fellow. It's a mouthful, but this is Dr. Yohuru Williams, which I'm sure y'all have seen. He's offered lectures on John Lewis and the Lewis Doctrine, series, The Common Power to the People. He was a huge part of the teach-in, and we wanted him to be our We the People Public Scholar Fellow because this is an award to recognize exceptional educators who are committed to a just and inclusive civic democracy built on the full truths of American history. And Dr. Williams has shown that again and again and again. And I won't go, you can read some of his bio here, or just a quick Google and you will see what an extraordinary, remarkable man this guy is, and how lucky we are to get to work with him. And you'll get to see even more of him now that he's our fellow. And Dr. Terry Scott, the Institute Director, was the first fellow, and Dr. Williams is our second fellow. And that's really what we have to share with you today. The Institute is doing so much, and we'll be sending out a newsletter that really encompasses everything. It's very long, probably too long, as I get teased for sometimes, but it will encompass all that we've accomplished in this year. And as Duran said, as Celestia has said, we just couldn't be prouder, and we couldn't have done this alone. So we really appreciate y'all showing up for our events, following us, just being engaged and supporting us because we're fresh, but we're gaining traction, and it's really empowering.
Hey, before you go, I think some people who were here a year ago when the Institute launched is wondering why there's not another in-person thing right now. I think we did the teaching instead of that. But there's going to be something coming up soon. I think what's the next in-person event? I think in July, isn't there? That we can preview for folks.
I think Stewart's coming out to Seattle. But he's the poet laureate of Atlanta. We often see him on the learning.
That's right. So we're gonna get some poetry reading from one of the people who's a key feature on our learning tour, and he'll be here. So look for that from the either of the newsletters or on our website.
That's a perfect transition to upcoming events. As Charles noted, you can find all of our events on our website. I won't bore everyone by reading everything on the slide because we have these wonderful graphics that also detail these events. But I did want to bring up again that postcarding party that I had teased at the beginning of the meeting. Ben, Jessica, and I will be hanging out at our office space doing postcards. For a Virginia candidate that we're supporting this Saturday from 11 to 3 or to 2. So yeah, please come if you're free, if you're in the Seattle area. Oh yes, and with our volunteers too. Yeah, be in community, not just us. But and then yeah, we have these wonderful fieldwork trainings that are going on. I'm hosting Welcome to Common Power information sessions. So if you'll have friends or family or anyone in your community that's interested in CP, but you have a hard time explaining all of it, let me do that work for you, and send them over to one of our welcome to CP info sessions. And then there will be a big amount or a variety of options for phone banking for the June primary in Virginia. So yeah, ways to get trained, to take action. And I'll leave this slide up. This is our last slide for tonight. And I'll just say thank you all so much for joining, for sticking with us. Only 6 minutes over. I don't know. I think that's pretty good for a lot of stuff going on in this grade.
That's really good. Let's take the slide down. They can go to the website. I want to see everybody.
Oh, sure.
It's
I know
good. Thank
some-
you all for coming. It was good
Yeah.
to see some folks we haven't seen in a while.